Hi, welcome back, guys. This is going to be episode 6 of Driven by Christ Auto. So, last time we was on here, we had to take care of a customer that, got broken down and they had to stay at our shop while we worked on their vehicle. Had a ton of electrical problems. I mean, there was no reason why this vehicle wasn't running, but we noticed that we couldn't use some of our diagnosing tools to even be able to tell what was wrong with the car. You're going to run into these problems. So I'm going to do my best to show y'all how to quickly diagnose the vehicle. That way you're not getting stuck on a vehicle all day. And we also got majority of our drag car engine built, and we also got our drag car, fully stripped down, primered, interior, taken care of, and everything. So before we even start our day and walk in and get the shop ready, we're gonna take a message and you know get a word from our Lord. So, dear Jesus, I've discovered that thanking you frequently not only awakens my heart to your presence, but it sharpens my mind. So, whenever I'm feeling out of focus or out of touch with you, I need to make every effort to thank you for something. There's always an abundance of things to thank Jesus for. At literally everything in your life, you should be thanking Him for it. You've been training me to look back at all the good things you've provided. This discipline lifts my spirit and energizes me, enabling me to think more clearly. The Bible teaches that my enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. So it's very important for me to be self controlled and alert. When I lose focus, I let my thoughts drift. I'm much more vulnerable to the evil one's attacks. So please alert me whenever I'm in this vulnerable condition and help me to drive away the enemy by thanking and praising you in my daily life. This is what you call spiritual warfare. Uh, and also, you can be referred to as a prayer warrior for doing this. If you're constantly in prayer, guys, he's happy about that. He's glad that you are talking to him. So, uh, this is covered in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 through 9. Peter chapter 8, verse 8. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 15. Alright, so we're going to ask Jesus before we even start today in our work that He looks over us, allows us to take care of our customers in the best way, and, keep an eye out for that sneaky devil. Make sure he ain't fixing to be slipping one in on us while we're not paying attention. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Alright, let's go get these shop doors open. Alright, so, you come in, the usual routine, turn on all of your equipment, get your tire machine calibrated for the day. Normally you got to calibrate these in a real shop. I remember doing all this stuff as a kid growing up. If you got any waste oil and stuff like that, go ahead and get it dumped in the morning. Uh, have everything ready to go. So we're going to go check our voicemail and see what's going on. And before we even start that, I'm still dealing with a little bit of this congestion stuff. It finally started to drain, so it is just destroying my throat, guys. So just hang in there with me. I'm going to try to talk as easily as I can. and that way y'all can understand me, and we're gonna get through this. So, all right, let's see what we got. All right, so we got a Henta Moon Mark Run, which is also known as a Eagle Talon or a Mitsubishi Eclipse. So, this is the message. Hello, I saw that you've got quite good reviews, and I thought that you'll surely handle my problem. I've been to a few experts already. The things that each expert said and didn't match up at all. Of course, the problem is still there. It boils down to this constant banging. It's unbearable, and the gearbox isn't working properly after the last repair. After a week, changing gears became a nightmare. Please check it out and try to fix any problems. I'm counting on your honesty. Now, see, guys, he knows that we're a religious automotive shop, so he knows that we're going to be honest with him. It's the last chance for my car. If it doesn't do the trick, I'll have no other option but to get rid of it. Anyway, let me know what happens. Alright, and he also wants us to do an oil service. So we're going to go ahead and grab this vehicle from the customer. So, guys, he's about ready to throw in the towel on this thing. So let's, go ahead, put our full efforts into helping this customer. Because this is a nice car. It may be dirty, but let's see. I wonder if it's got the turbocharged motor. And yep, it does. It has the turbocharged, basically K-series motor in it, or similar to one. Alright, so let's get this thing cleaned up and get it in the wash bay before we get it in our shop. Go ahead and wash her down. Alright, so yeah, body is in just mint condition. Wheels are good. Glass is good, so we won't have to do any body repairs, which we never did get around to doing the body repairs to that last vehicle because we already had invested a lot of stuff into it. The customer wasn't worried about it. He just wanted to get it ready and be able to get going back on his trip. So interior looks good, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyways just to make sure. Get everything wiped down. Go ahead and use that wonderful O'Reilly's coverall inside. Make everything look new. Alright, so let's get this thing, well, let's see first of all. Wrong thing. Let's get it moved to our testing path. Now, I don't even know if this vehicle runs or not. We're gonna check it out. So let's see. Alright, so that's already a bad situation. The vehicle won't even crank. So let's see what we got going on here. Let's visually inspect why this thing won't crank. Alright, well, we got 2 dead ignition coils that I'm seeing, but let's go ahead and break out our diagnosing tools. Remember, start with, if you can do the OBD scan tool, try to use it first if the vehicle offers it. So spark plugs are completely gone. Ignition coils, so this car needs a tune-up too. Yep. It is in serious need for a tune-up. So that's the reason why it won't start. Let's go ahead and we can probably go ahead and do that right now. I think I got some ignition coils sitting to the side, and we'll just go ahead and throw them in real quick. Pull these coil packs off. Get our spark plug remover tool that's magnetized. It normally looks like it's got a little handle on the end, and the socket itself is magnetized, keeping you from dropping the spark plug down in the cylinder head, possibly damaging the threads, because you don't ever want to cross thread one of these. And you cross thread one, you're pulling a whole engine out trying to get that fixed. So, all right, let's put some of our performance plugs in here and see if we can't get this thing, or it will at least get on our test path. Alright, there we go. And we can't, unfortunately, we can't fix ignition coils. That is another thing that is a buying item. So, but I think we do got some extra ones. Nope, we don't. These 75% ones will work, but the red ones are not going to work. So, you know, he's tired of spending money, so we're going to try to save him as much money. Let's see. We're going to pull up our tablet real quick and get logged into the O'Reilly parts menu. Alright. Shopping list. Alright, so we know we're going to need ignition coils. Oh yeah, that's right. You can't find it in there. You got to go to the electronics section. Alright. Open the shopping list. Ignition coil. We're going to need 2 of them. So, thank God O'Reilly's is right next door to us. Literally, they can just walk the parts over. So, we're going to go ahead and put them in on our online order. They should be over here any minute, because we are a commercial customer. So, they normally take care of their shops pretty well. Alright, so Mr. O'Reilly's has then brought us our parts, so let's go ahead and get them put in. Alright, so we got them in there. Alright, so remember, in an engine you have what makes an engine run is air, fuel, fire, and compression. So we know that we got good fuel. I can look at it. I don't see anything visually wrong with injectors, and it didn't pull it up on the OBD2 scan tool. So, but let's make sure. We're gonna go ahead and do a fuel pressure test. Check all the fuel components. Injectors are looking good. Alright, so fuel is good. Fuel is in a, we got some, kind of 2 lower injectors, but should run. So, shouldn't have any problems there. Alright, we're going to go ahead. Now, this is the bad boy tester here. This is everybody hates the compression test. And where you would really do the compression test is you would pull all the spark plugs out, spin the motor over, and this actually screws in the place of a spark plug, and it gives you the cylinder PSI. So, let's see what we got. But let it do its thing. Ooh. Alright, so in 2 cylinders, we're literally dead in the water. No compression. It also identified that the camshaft was bad. Really a compression test is only going to give you PSI, but if it's low PSI, that lets us know that, we're going to be pulling this engine out of the car. So, alright. So we know that we're dead in the water there. We can go ahead and check everything with our electronic meter. See what we got going on here. Alright, so everything's good on the electrical meter. That means wiring, fuses, relays. This one does have a it looks like drive-by-wire throttle body, so that means it is electronically controlled by a sensor on the gas pedal. Like in my Honda, it's drive by cable. There's a cable that's attached to the pedal. So I'm going to hit a few things and kind of let you know the difference between stuff. Cooling fans were good, so alright, we ain't going to have to mess with nothing electrical. So let's go ahead and we're going to shut the hood. Unfortunately, we're going to have to push this car or go get the forklift and we'll take the car to rack 1. Alright guys, so here we are. Now, we already know that the bottom end is destroyed in this engine, so we're going to have to go over here, go ahead and grab our motor hoist and get it set up on rack 1. We're going to go ahead and remove the hood. That way it makes it a lot easier pulling engines out of the car. You don't have to fight with the hood being in the way. Let's get the car up in the air. Or not in the air just yet. Alright, so we know we're going to have to pull this engine out of the car. So first thing we want to do is get into here. We want to start taking, go ahead and draining all the fluids out of the car. Because whenever you pull this engine out, you're going to be undoing lines and you don't want oil and coolant and everything all over the floor in the shop. So we're going to go ahead and vac out everything. This is how you would do in a real vehicle too. Go over here to the brake. We probably won't have to mess with the brakes. We can leave it alone. But power steering fluid, engine coolant, and we also need to go ahead and drain the engine oil. Alright. Move it. Rack 1. Alright, so we already know there's going to be a load of metal on this magnetic drain plug. So let's go ahead and use it. Now, and we'll go ahead and we'll pull our oil filter off because that comes with an oil change. Go ahead and drop it into this bucket. That way any oil will come out of it. You can just set it over into there. Let's go ahead and move this back. Alright, well, it moved it back for us. Alright, so we're going to be doing some, in order to get a front wheel drive engine out, you got to pull the CV joints, this half shaft, and we got to undo the exhaust. So let's go ahead and get these front tires pulled. Alright, so looks like the brakes are pretty good. This is our CV joint that we're fixing to pull. Alright, normally on a real car you got to undo this lower control arm in order to get the CV joint out, but in here they made it a little bit easier. Well, I can hear what all this rattling noise is. Hey, remember how the customer was talking about a banging. That's going to be his sway bar that is bad. That's where your end links connect to. Alright. Looks like, wow, it's got bad wheel hub bearings too. So we'll go ahead and pull that out. And I think we got some hub bearings. Nope. Well, we'll have to order some hub bearings too. So let's go ahead and pull up our, well, we're in the shop. Let's go over here to the computer. So we're going to go to the O'Reilly parts menu. Let's hub. Alright, so we need this hub bearing. Now these bearings can be used in any vehicle. So go ahead and order like a 10-pack of them. Alright, so we got them. Alright, you know, Mr. O'Reilly's brought us our parts. They're really fast, son. I mean, they get here. Alright, let's go ahead and zoom in on this hub bearing. And normally there is a tool that will go through here like a CV joint and it will press this bearing in. Because they don't just slide into there. They're you got to press them in with a tool using a lot of force. So we got that new bearing in. Let's check the other bearing. go ahead and pull this lower control arm. We're going to make it as real as possible. Alright, now we should be able to get the CV joint out. Alright, so the hub bearing is shot on this side too. Normally if one is out, the other's out. That also explains why our carrier shaft back here, it's called they call it a front drive shaft, but it's called, in real life, it's called an intermediate shaft, and they do have bearings in them. Normally, the hub bearings, you're going to replace this bearing or the whole intermediate shaft. And it's normally bolted to the back side of the motor and goes into the transmission. So we got to remove it. And we're going to use our nifty bearing puller and pull this old bearing out. And we're going to press in the new bearing. Boom, there you go, new bearing. And we'll go ahead, we'll leave this lower control arm loose. That way we can put the CV joint in whenever you know, we get ready to drop this motor back in. But alright, we got to let the car back down because we got to get the starter off of the transmission in order to remove it. So, and that is game. You have to remove the starter in the game to remove the transmission. So, let's see if we can zoom down in here. Alright. So we got it out of there. There's also normally some wiring in real life. There will be some wiring attached to that starter. Be careful. They like to break really easy. So, if you got WD-40 and PB Blaster, I don't know if y'all even heard me because of that shop rack, but if y'all got WD-40 and PB Blaster, use it when you can. It will save you a nightmare. Alright, so let's get on this transmission. Let's get off the gearbox. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get our little, they don't have it in here, but you would normally have a transmission jack that goes up underneath the vehicle and holds the weight of the transmission while you undo the bolts. Couple of rusty bolts on here. There we go. Transmission is off, and we can already see that the clutch and flywheel have failed in here. So let's go ahead and pull out the throwout bearing, take off our pressure plate. Now whenever you pull this pressure plate off of a real flywheel, that clutch disc is going to get ready to fall, so be ready. In real life it will. It ain't going to just be hanging up there. So clutch was history. We'll break the flywheel loose on the engine stand. So alright, we got the transmission. You know, you can set it over here to the side somewhere. Let's go ahead and undo our downpipe from our turbo. And that's going to let us take the engine out. There's normally gaskets that go in between all of these, so try not to damage the gaskets. You will definitely need PB Blaster on these bolts. So, alright. Let's get this car dropped and let's use our engine hoist. Oh, you know the bad thing that we got going on though? Before we pull this engine out, we still got our drag car motor on here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll this thing in here and put our drag engine on the on the shelf. So let's go ahead, take this engine off of the stand. Well, we'd roll that thing into here and we can just put it on one of these shelves. Let's see, engine. Where is the engine? Alright guys, oh there it is. Alright, so right here we are going to move that. So if you switch the tab by hitting the center you know, pad, it lets you know what you got on your shelf in the warehouse. So we got our engine on the shelf. Alright, so let's go pull the other one out of the car. Go ahead and pull out this engine. You know, it would be hanging by the chains. We would roll this thing into here and line it up where we can run the bolts through our motor. And let's put it on the stand. Alright, so we got our turbocharged 4-cylinder on the stand. Now, the parts we've done already pulled off of this car, let's see if we can go ahead and normally whenever you're rebuilding CV joints, you're just putting new boots on them and adding new grease. Control arms, same thing. Boots on the ball joint, new grease. Because at the end of that control arm, there is a ball joint. Starter, you know, maybe it needs to be taken apart and the brushes need to be cleaned. We're going to go ahead and do the gearbox service too. You know, normally just changing the oil in the transmission. Stick shifts are so much better than automatics. You don't have to, yeah, you do have to do a little bit more to drive a vehicle, but they normally get better gas mileage and they're a lot more funner to drive. Anyways, let me see where was I at? Okay. So we did our old transmission service, so we are going to have to tear down this engine completely to see what's going on, but we'll get back to that. So we may be on this car for a few days, guys. There may be some stuff involved, but let's go ahead and get back up underneath here because we did see another problem. It looks like it also has bad subframe bushings. So now that the engine's out of here, we can drop the subframe with our subframe jack or transmission jack. It just depends on what type you got. But we're going to have to take these end links loose to get the sway bar out. We know it's shot. We can look at it and tell. Alright. Whoa, I hate whenever it does that. Let's zoom in. Yeah. Alright, and we're going to pull this sway bar out. Alright, now that we got the sway bar out of the way, let's kind of bend around and what we're going to do is we're going to pull out each of these bearings and replace one at our bushings at a time. That way we don't have to drop the whole subframe. Alright, new bushing. Alright, we're going to jump to this one. Yeah, it looks pretty bad. Let's pull the part. Yep, 13% on that one, so we know it was gone. Yeah, there ain't no wonder why he was hearing all types of beating and banging. Let's go up here to this one. Unmount. Alright, we're going to mount the new bearing in, or bushing, sorry. Let's get over here, pull it out. And we'll put the new one in. Alright, so we know right here we're going to have to tag this sway bar. And we're going to have to go over here to O'Reilly's parts menu and order a new sway bar. So front sway bar. There it is right there. $110. Now, I never did see if we could fix this, so with the parts that we got out, let's see if we can't fix this sway bar. Nope. There, sorry. Sorry, guy, I tried to help you. You know, that's what Jesus would want us to do, is try to fix these parts so they don't have to buy new ones. So, all we need is one sway bar. Alright. O'Reilly said it'd be a minute before they could get that over here. That's a pretty big part. So let's kind of visually inspect everything else. Looks like tie rod ends are good. Inner tie rods are good. Power steering, the rack and pinion's good. Exhaust good. Let's check out in the back. Oh boy, look at there. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this back tire off, because I see that we got a sway bar that's like, it's destroyed back here too. And it looks like the main subframe bushings are destroyed in this one. So in order to get this sway bar out, you're going to have to take off this end link. So end link was good. So let's move to the other side. Get this tire off. Alright, right there. Got it off. Now it'll let us. Now, you want to mark that because that's a different sway bar than what was on the front. Go ahead and pull it off. Alright, let's visually inspect everything else. So it looks like this wheel bearing is good. We're going to have to replace these bushings. So we'll go ahead and pull it out and put a new one in. Alright, let's get to this one. Pull it out. And these would actually be bolted in from the bottom, not the other way around. That way the bushing will just fall out of there whenever you take the bolt. Alright, let's go to the other side and get to it. We want to zoom in on this bushing. Ooh, I don't know if y'all saw it, but I saw 2 more bushings that need to be replaced. See, a lot of this stuff, guys, you can visually inspect and see that, hey, this needs to be replaced. Alright, there we go. And the other ones, I don't know if y'all saw them, but right here on the end of this suspension arm, these things love failing. Alright, go ahead and, we're gonna have to WD-40 it. Alright, got it. Alright, let's go to the other side and pop this bushing out. Man, this guy's gonna be happy. I could feel his frustration. I knew why he was mad. Like literally everything that would make the most noise in a car was tore up. Luckily his brakes. Now, as for anything else, if any of these other bushings are bad, we're just gonna have to use the test path to identify it. But we can also check our work order list and, you know, make sure. So let's see what we got on our work order. Alright. So, oh yeah, alright, so we did get bushings. Whenever we rebuild the engine, we're going to deal with all this other stuff that he wants taken care of. So, looks like we got all the main suspension components. Let's go ahead and try to catch them before they leave, and they can bring both sway bars over. Alright, so looks like we're still waiting on both of those parts. They ain't got nobody to bring one over yet. So, alright, let's move to this engine teardown. This is the fun part. I love building the engines. So, first thing we're going to do, get up here and pull our new ignition coils out. And we're going to go ahead and pull these spark plugs. These are brand new spark plugs, so we won't have to replace them. Looks like it's got a lot of rust, but we're going to pull this stuff. Alright, let's pull this throttle body, which is an electronic drive-by-wire. So it's going to have a plug attached to it too. We're going to pull this intake manifold. It's got a lot of rusty bolts. Alright, these are our injectors. We checked them with the OBD tool, so they did check out good. You normally can just pop them right out once you unbolt the intake manifold. Alright, so we got them out. Let's go ahead and undo our turbo. There will be a gasket in between here, and there is an oil line that is attached to this turbo too. You got to be careful with. They love leaking. We'll pull the exhaust manifold. Alright, so we got a bare block. We're going to go ahead and break this flywheel loose while we still got the front harmonic balancer on, or crankshaft pulley. Take off our tensioner roller. Pull the belt. Pull the alternator. And then our power steering pump. And this is the one where you got to use that special tool to break it loose with. Got it loose. Let's pull our timing belt cover. Alright, so it looks like most of our timing gear is timing belt components are good. Pull this roller. Oh, it wants us to take the belt off. Alright, belt was good. Pull that off. Now, even though, I'm going to tell y'all in real life, even though y'all tried to drain the coolant out of this engine, whenever you pull this water pump, get ready for the flood of a river. So throw down some of them, well, we call them shop diapers, but they're absorbent pads to catch the coolant. Because believe me, it's going to be a flood whenever you pull that water pump. Alright, well, we'll leave the timing gear on for now. That way, in case we need to turn the camshaft for any reason, let's pull this head cover off. A lot of rusty bolts, guys. A lot of rusty bolts. Alright, so we have a destroyed. Boy, this engine always has a problem with a failed camshaft. I guess it's like a factory defect. They just torched the... Which one is this? This is intake. So this is the exhaust cam. So something about the exhaust cam getting tore up. I bet you that's back pressure from that turbo. But anyways, we got to pull our VVTi part off, or they call it a timing cover, but it's electronic variable valve control. We'll pull our cam phaser off, grab our chain before it falls out on the floor, and we got to start pulling cam caps. Now guys, once we get this engine completely disassembled, we are going to try to fix everything that we can. Now, if you're not good at the fixing game, or the back and forth game, you know, just order the broken parts and put it back together with the original parts. But, you know, I'm blessed, so Jesus gave me the ability to sometimes be able to fix parts, so I'm going to do my best. If I break it, I will fix it. So there we go. Now we can slide this camshaft out of the head. Alright, we got to take down normally, yep, because they're in the way of the head bolts. So you got to get the camshafts out of the way to get to the head bolts. Now, I don't know about that. This stuff is normally covered in oil. So the odds of using PB Blaster on the inside of the engine are going to be slim to none, because everything is already coated in oil anyways. Alright, so what's holding this thing? Alright, so we got to take this cam phaser, which that part failed. So that could be another reason why he was hearing a lot of wonderful noises coming from the motor too. They make a lot of noise whenever they fail. So let's pull this camshaft out. If I can get on it. Alright, now we're ready to pull the engine head, which there would have been bolts that went into that. I don't know why the head just comes straight off, but anyways, we'll get this fuel filter off of its hanger. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this, let me get off this motor where I can see it correctly. We're going to turn this engine where we can get to the oil pan. Pull this oil pan off. Alright, so yeah, we have got literally every cylinder is almost destroyed. So let's go ahead and start breaking our connecting rods loose. We'll pull our bearings and our rod caps off. Now you're still going to have a bearing in between that crankshaft in real life and this connecting rod. So just leave everything where it sits for now. And what you'll end up doing is you're going to actually push the piston straight out of the bottom of the motor and let it just fall down. We're not reusing any of this because it's destroyed. We're going to actually put performance pistons and rings in this customer's vehicle. That way he does not have the problem with this again. We're going to put some good parts in there. He ain't going to be able to destroy these unless he just like runs it low on oil. But anyways, which could have been a possibility because you got literally every main bearing is toasted. So let's go ahead and get these broken loose. And I want to tell y'all one thing. In real life, undoing these main bearing bolts, if you've ever broken one loose in a real engine, they stink. Oh my god, they stink so bad. They have a real awful burnt oil smell to them. They always smell like it in every engine that I've ever built. Alright, so let's pull this crankshaft out. We're going to go ahead and take it to our machine shop. And by this point in time, the engine blocks really don't weigh that much. You could probably just hold this, stick your hand down in one of the cylinders and hold it and slide your, you can take the block off of the stand and just hold it. So, and it's not heavy no more. So we're going to take it over here to our machine shop area. Alright, so we're going to go through and do a throttle body service, clean it out with a toothbrush, electronic carb cleaner. We was able to fix it. Go ahead and clean out the intake manifold. We'll do an injector service, change out the seals and do a leak down test. Make sure they're performing at their maximum capabilities. Sometimes the turbos need to be rebuilt. Seals and bearings. Not very hard to do. Go ahead and do it. Exhaust manifold, normally a gasket, and they need to be cleaned out. Get all the carbon deposit out. Alternators, normally you got to pull them apart and clean the brushes. And you may have to change out the charging diodes. Power steering pump, normally all it is a couple of O-rings. Timing belt cover, gasket, we can fix it. Fix the water pump. Fix the head cover. We're going to go ahead and just bless this guy. We're going to fix everything that we possibly can. We'll fix that. Alright, now these are the important ones. You really don't want to tear these up. So, looks like we was able to machine that crankshaft out. And whenever you're rebuilding an engine, You want to just hone the block out. It's a special honing tool that resurfaces the cylinder. That way your rings have a really good seal and higher compression. More compression, the more power. The more power, the faster the car goes. So this guy is going to be like astounded because not only his car was running pretty boo-boo-ish at first. So let's get this block back on here. Get it bolted back up to our engine stand. Go ahead and be real easy putting the crankshaft back into its place. We're gonna put our main bearings back on, which none of them was able to be fixed, so we're gonna have to go to O'Reilly's and pull up our tablet here and get signed into the parts menu. And oh, wait a minute, we gotta tag this. If I can zoom in, come on guys, there we go. Alright, so we're gonna need, let's clear the list because something happened already. I don't know why it didn't tag that part. Alright, there we go. Well, we're gonna need 3 of them. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so the O'Reilly guy dropped off our parts. He's also got our sway bars for the car. They're over there on the workbench. We'll get them on once we get ready to slap this engine back in. But we got our new crankshaft, our main bearings. Alright. Go ahead. These have dual torque technique in real life, but we're just going to go ahead and put this engine back together. Alright, so now we're going to get ready to put pistons in. So we're going to have to turn this engine up. Alright. Alright, so 2 of these pistons we could reuse, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go to our performance section, and we're going to give him some pistons that are not going to break. So let's find them real quick. There they are right there. Alright, piston and connecting rod. A little bit more money to satisfy the customer. Go ahead and buy 4 of them. Let's go ahead and put them in. And we should already, nope, got to get some rings too. Let's back out, boy. I'm telling y'all, it's good to keep these parts in stock. Rings. Go ahead and buy a case of these rings, and there's normally 20 of them in a case. Alright, actually 24, but anyways, let's go ahead and easily use our little tool that allowed to compress the rings to push the pistons down into the cylinder. That way you don't damage your rings, because you will have some oil rings and you will have compression rings. So there's normally about 3 of them on a real car engine. 3 to 4. Alright. No, we are not ready to put the cylinder head on. So let's turn this upside down. So now that we got those in, you would reach down in here and pull the connecting rod up to your crankshaft. But before you would even put that piston into there, you would put the bearing that goes in between the crank and the connecting rod. It normally snaps into your connecting rod, which these are forged pistons and connecting rods. So let's go ahead and get our connecting rods torqued down. And it looks like we're gonna need some rod caps, so let's mark it. I don't know why they don't have a racing rod cap in here, considering they got racing pistons, but anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and order these. Go ahead and get like 24 of them. That way you ain't got to keep doing this mess. And there we go. Go ahead and torque these down. And there is a little tool that you can get. It's called Plastigauge. It's a little to make sure you got the right bearings and the clearance in between the bearings and the crankshaft. It's a little piece of plastic tape that whenever you torque these rod bolts down to spec, you can undo them again and you can see how much it smushed that piece of tape down, and that lets you know the clearances for your connecting rod bearings on your crankshaft. Just real life car engine stuff. Go ahead and put this oil pan back on. Now we're ready to bolt the head back down. Go ahead and put it on. I'm really surprised that there's not head bolts in here even in this game, but okay. So we rebuilt the exhaust manifold, so we'll go ahead and throw it on there. Before you do that, you want to put the injectors in, because these things are a pain to get to once you get the intake on there. See, they're kind of hard for me to get to now. Alright, now we can put our intake manifold on. We can throttle body, brand new. Customer is going to be so happy whenever he cranks this thing up and it sounds just like it did. You know, in this shop, he did have a good fuel filter, so we're going to put it back onto there. And since we rebuilt his turbo, we're going to go ahead and throw it back on too. Alright. We'll go ahead and torque this. Ooh, flywheel is gone. We'll deal with that once we get the engine in the car. We'll put the new flywheel on. Let's go ahead and get these camshafts slid back in. Alright. Go ahead. Oh, that's the bad one. See, you gotta watch it. Putting these things in there. Apparently, I couldn't rebuild that crankshaft, our camshaft. So let's mark it. I'm gonna have to hit up O'Reilly's again. Boy, we wearing them out today, boy. So we got an order for our camshaft in. He's gonna go ahead and bring it over while we're waiting on that. We'll go ahead and we'll put this sway bar in. Alright, so right there. Brand new sway bar. Put the end links on. Up. Alright, here comes our camshafts through the door. So we got some of our engine parts waiting on us back over there. Alright. Thank God we got a charge account at O'Reilly's. They bill us at the end of each day. Well, it's immediate build, so build. My bad, I'm still dealing with the old congestion here. Alright, so fresh out of the box and bag, pre-oiled camshaft. Now, whenever you're really building the engine, you do want to soak these camshafts down with what they call assembly lube, and your crankshaft and your connecting rods and all of that. Anything that has a metal to metal surface, you can even put a little bit, and I'm talking a thin layer. Spray your cylinders with WD-40. That way your rings are not rubbing metal to metal. Or you can use assembly lube there. Just expect the engine is going to smoke whenever you crank it up. So let's go through our torque sequence. Start from the inside and work our way out. I'm surprised we couldn't remachine these cam caps. Alright. Oh, nope, wrong one. You always start from the center and work your way out in a crisscross pattern. That way as you're tightening everything down, it tightens down evenly. And you don't have a part getting crushed or bent all up. Alright, so now we're ready for our engine cover. Alright, so let's go back here. We know we're going to need, I think we did order a cam phaser. Let me check in our parts bag over here. I think we did order that earlier. Yeah, we got one. So it was in the bottom of our box over here from O'Reilly's. Let's slap this thing on there. Alright, we can probably reuse this timing chain if I can get on it. There we go. Nope. Bad chain. We're going to have to order it. So let's mark it back to the O'Reilly menu, or the parts menu. Alright, well, guys, it's 5 minutes till closing time, so go ahead and get this part ordered. It'll be here waiting for us in the morning. So that's all we could get done in one day. So there's a lot of work to get done in one day. This really would have took you all day in real life to do. So anyways, we'll do a quick cap. We only got bare minimum stuff, and whenever we do get this engine built and put together and get the car back together, we're going to give him a full report and diagnosing, and we're going to give him a dyno tune and see what type of performance he's putting down. We didn't really get a chance to work on our drag car today, but hey, that happens. There's sometimes you're not going to finish a customer's vehicle in one day. It may take multiple days. So, you know, go ahead and give your customer a call and let them know, you know, you're sorry that you wasn't able to get it done as quickly as you thought you could have, but you know, we are for sure we will get this car done tomorrow. So go ahead and get ready and shut down the shop, and we'll say our prayers before we go home. So you know, if you're getting ready to leave your shop, you're getting ready to go home, remember, guys, in the real world, whenever you open your own shop, if you had problems at work that day, do not take them home to your wife and your children. They are happy. They are going to be ready to see you. If you come home in a bad mood, you just turned everybody's night into a bad night. So if you got any burdens, remember Jesus says to lay our burdens on him and he will strengthen us. So go ahead and put in that prayer. If you have any burdens, give them to Jesus, and tell him to look over you and your trip home, and to let you get home safely without, you know, any mechanical breakdowns of your own. And no tickets. You know, a fun, relaxing ride home is what you're looking for. You know, we would have done ran through and shut everything down, killed our lights, and there's our tow truck. This is going to be our ride to the house. So before I jump in here, I'm going to go ahead and cut the film. So, alright, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I'm going to catch y'all next time on Driven by Christ Auto. Later.